Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Today we're looking at new cards which are from Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duels episode 119. Hyperdrive Screening is a normal spell card. The requirement is if you control a face-up dragon monster and a face-up machine monster, the effect is to choose up to 2 face-down cards in your opponent's spell and trap zone and reveal it, then choose one of them and destroy it. Then your opponent sends the top 2 cards of their deck to the graveyard. And if there's a trap card among them, then your opponent can choose one of them and set it in their spell and trap zone. You need a face-up dragon monster and a face-up machine monster to bring out this card's effect, so that can be quite specific with the type of deck you're running. You can then take up to 2 face-down cards in your opponent's spell and trap zone. They get revealed, one of them is then destroyed, so actually you get to choose which one of them gets destroyed rather than your opponent's, and you can choose the better one to disrupt. Your opponent then has to send the top 2 cards of their deck to the graveyard. This can be a benefit if they get rid of powerful cards that they can't recover, but alternatively, if you send something that they can use from the graveyard, then that is also a problem. If there happens to be a trap card among those cards sent, then your opponent can choose one of them and set it in their spell and trap zone, so that's another problem. If you happen to land on a trap card, it then gets to bring itself back. Dark Matter Dealadon is a level 1 Dark Attribute Galaxy effect monster with 0 attack and 1300 defense. The requirement is if this card is in face-up defense position and you control a face-down monster, the effect is to send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. If you send a level 2 or higher monster with 1300 defense to the graveyard with this effect, then you can add that card to the hand. It's a very weak monster and it's reasonable for a level 1. This card has to be in face-up defense position and you also have to control a face-down monster to use its effect. By sending the top card of the deck to the graveyard, pretty easy to do, not much of a cost. You happen to send a level 2 or higher monster, most likely with a 1300 defense to the graveyard. That card can then be added to the hand, so it's a way of speeding up the deck a little bit. But it's so specific, it does have to be higher than a certain amount, and it also has to have exactly 1300 defense. So it's only effective within its own archetype that specializes in monsters with that stat lineup. Dark Matter Pressure Worm is a level 7 Dark Attribute Galaxy effect monster with 2400 attack and 1300 defense. It has no requirements and it has a continuous effect. If there is a face-down monster on your field, this card gains 100 attack times the number of face-down monsters on your field, times the number of Dark Galaxy monsters in your graveyard. That's quite interesting because it's got a bit of a multiplier effect, so it's 100 times the number of face-down monsters on your field. So if you've got, say, for example, I don't know, 3 well, you can't actually have 3 because if this card's already in the field, say you've got 2, so that's the maximum you can get. That's 200, and it's times the number of Dark Galaxy monsters in the graveyard. So if you've got 10 monsters in that graveyard, it's 200 times 10, it's just 2000. And that will boost this to a 4400 attack monster, but it's relying on you having quite a decent setup already in your graveyard. Dark Matter Cross is a normal spell card. The requirement is if there is a face-down monster on your field, you can place 2 Dark Galaxy monsters with 1300 defense from your graveyard on the bottom of the deck in any order. The effect is to choose one face-up Dark Galaxy monster. During this turn, that monster cannot be destroyed by effects and can attack twice. First requirement is you need to have a face-down monster on your field. You can take 2 of your Dark Galaxy monsters with 1300 defense from the graveyard on the bottom of your deck in any order, so it has a recovery ability. The effect, just by choosing a face-up Dark Galaxy monster, that monster is unaffected by being destroyed by effects, and it does give it the ability to attack twice, so that's quite decent depending on the monster you choose. Dark Matter Haze is a normal trap card. The requirement when a face-up monster on the field is returned to the extra deck. The effect is to choose up to 2 Dark Galaxy monsters with 1300 defense in your graveyard and special summon them to your field in face-down defense position. This effect only works if one of a face-up monster on the field is returned to the extra deck, so it can be yours or your opponent's, doesn't matter which. You can take up to 2 Dark Galaxy monsters, but they have to be 1300 defense that happen to be in your graveyard. They have to be special summoned, but they go into face-down defense position, so you can't even rely on them until your next turn. And Dark Matter Decision is a normal trap card. The requirement is when either player sets a monster from the hand or when either player special summons a monster face down. The effect is to choose one face-down monster on the field and change it to face-up attack position. This is a decent enough effect because pretty much it can be determined by you or your opponent. It happens when you either choose to set a monster or special summon a monster, or your opponent does the same. You're able to then almost moon your opponent's card. I think it's like Book of Tayo, and that flips that monster from face down defense position to face attack position, so you can see what your opponent is running. Overall, the design on this deck is based on these 1,300 defense monsters, basing on having 1 or 2 powerful monsters as such the Dark Matter Pressure Worm, and rely on those cards to gain types of effects based on the other cards you already have on the field. It's not an effective strategy unless you're running more support cards, and this might take a while before the deck runs well. As always, I'd love to hear what your opinions are in the comment section below. Make sure to like the video, it really helps support the channel. And make sure to subscribe and click the notifications so you never miss another one of my videos.